hear our rant. Our rant is that although it seems like the sky is falling, if you're smart about this, if you are paying attention and looking at the numbers about this, these kinds of things can actually be okay.
And here's the thing, guys, is if interest rates are going up, there's certain types of opportunity available for us as investors. If interest rates are going down, there's another different type of opportunity for us as investors. So regardless of what interest rates are doing, regardless of what markets are doing, regardless of whatever else might affect foreign investors or whatever else might affect our real estate prices and our cash flow and our real estate investments, there's always an opportunity if we look for it. There's always an opportunity if we're doing the right thing and we're playing it smart. Okay, so we're not just saying at any point is it good to go out there and buy something. No. Sometimes it's not a good idea to go out there and buy something. Sometimes it's a good idea to start selling something. There's always opportunity, though. You just got to figure out what it is based on what's happening.
So what are you seeing in the homeowner market right now? As interest rates start to go up, what happens in the market that you're noticing? We've seen this a few times. Some of you have seen this a few times. Some of you are seeing this the first time, but you do hear what's in the news. You do hear the coffee talk, at work or whatever it might be, your family dinner talk. So what are you hearing and seeing happens in a homeowner's mindset and thus market when interest rates start going up like they are right now? It's a buyer's market. Yes, all that for sure. We hear that. People are stopping and waiting. People are thinking a little bit. So before purchasing, so let's keep that in mind, okay? Yes, we see that, and we've seen it across the country. In hot markets and in not so hot markets. People stop buying, Japita says. Yes, there's a big pause. In Ontario and in other markets too, Chris says, we're even seeing price reductions. Okay, so people are slowing down, markets slow down. People are pausing, markets are pausing. Prices then go down because sellers become a little more desperate and have to sell for less, right? So there's a reduction. All of these things, good.
Offers now have conditions.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, as buyers, if we're in a particular market and we can now put conditions, we can have longer condition periods. We can now maybe have time to negotiate on price instead of paying whatever the seller is asking or above asking. The market becomes easier to buy in if there's a pause. There's not as many people out there buying. There's not as much frenzy in the market. These are all things that definitely can help.
Yeah, this is the stuff that we're seeing in the market, okay? It's not the last time and it's not the first time we're seeing these things. This is regular market cycles. So offers now have conditions. These are things we haven't seen in our markets in a long time. We built a portfolio on assumable mortgages. That was like bread and butter for us, but we haven't been able to do that for 15, 20 years, So some of these things, room to negotiate. What about the people that can't afford the higher interest rates? Well, this is another benefit to investors. Now, do we have to be careful because it's definitely not a benefit to everyone, but to investors, how can we use that? Yes, there are ways while still being good humans. So we're going to talk about that. What happens to the people that can't afford the higher interest rates? They continue to, or what I'm seeing in our portfolio is a lot of people are selling their houses and now becoming renters. Now that's creating a whole new demographic of tenant that's actually driving me crazy. I gotta tell you, because they're homeowner mentality, right? And so they're literally like, can you change the washer and dryer out? We don't like top loading, we want front loading. In a house like this, that's what we expect. Yeah, no, it's just like this crazy phenomenon that I'm noticing is happening in our portfolio. So they can't afford to buy, so they start renting. There we go. So as much as, yes, is this a bad thing that's happening? Interest rates? It's a scary thing for sure, but is it all bad for us investors? Now, does it mean, again, that we might have to pivot? So we have the choice, right? We're going to panic or we're going to prosper. Here's part of the silver lining is rent demand will rise, just like James is saying.
Now, what happens, guys, if rent demand rises? If there are more renters looking to rent, what happens to the rental market? So we have all of these people that are now switching to maybe renting that weren't before, or are renting longer than they originally planned because they can't qualify for the house they wanted to buy. So we have a higher demand in the rental market. What is going to happen?
But that demand, it starts going up across the board. Colin says we're finding a better quality of tenants that are looking to rent from us. So is that a bad thing for us as investors? Rental rates will continue to increase. Now, let me ask you guys, does this also happen in markets that have rental caps, or is this only in markets where there are no rental caps? Is it happening everywhere, or does it happen only in those? Because I can hear people saying right now, well, yeah, but there's rental caps in most of the country, which there is. Capitalism finds its way. And let me tell you, the answer, I'm going to just answer it. The answer is that yes, it happens across the board. And we saw that in all provinces through the years when there's been an up and a down and an up and a down. The market will dictate what rent is. And yes, there's legislation that we have to follow, but when people move and there's new turnovers, or when, you know, there's cash for keys, or when there's renovate, whatever it might be, capitalism always wins. And so the rents do go up even in those markets. Now, are we feeling the crunch right now? You tell me, guys. I'll give you an example. We have one property for rent that we went from having it at rented out at 1,800, okay, for the last 4 years, let's say, which is lower than it used to be. So 1,800. It is now renting for 2,200. So we were like, woohoo, you know, back in June when we're like looking at the numbers and what are we going to put this on the market for? Woo, it's gone up. Awesome. Okay. Well, guess what? We got our 2,200. No worries. But what also went up? We're on a variable rate. So some mortgages, you're going to find you're just paying down your principal less than you have been over the last few years. And some mortgages you're going to find are actually going to change. Your payment is going to change. So in this case, the payment changed. Well, guess what? It went up $300 in the last year. So now rents went up. Woohoo! We were like, awesome. We're going to be cash flowing another $400 a month. Well, not quite so much. But do you see how there's an ebb and a flow? There's a give and a take. So what are we saying? You can panic or you can prosper. To prosper, maybe you just have to sit tight depending on your portfolio, or maybe you have to pivot. Maybe. But regardless, hear our rant. Our rant is that although it seems like the sky is falling, if you're smart about this, if you are paying attention and looking at the numbers about this, these kinds of things can actually be okay. But put it in the chat again. Are you feeling the crunch now? Have our rental rates risen quite yet? These interest rates don't usually fly like they are. They don't usually go up as fast as they have been this last little while. Right now, our market has not quite caught up. I don't know about you, but I have felt that crunch where my rents need to be a little higher now. And they've gone up, but they're not where they need to be now that the interest rates have gone up. Our point tonight is you have two choices. You can panic or you can prosper. Maybe you'll do both a little bit. But when one thing ebbs and flows, there's always a pull the other way. So you will start seeing a lot of these things that will come back in our favor. Right now it's crunch time. Right now it's tough, but that's not going to last forever.